Did you know ageism is one of the last socially acceptable prejudices? Internalized, cultural, implicit, benevolent, and institutional ageism is alive and active in our lives and our society, and it's not helping us as we age. And my special guest, Raymond Jetson, and I are here to talk about how we can work together to shatter ageist beliefs so folks can thrive after 65. Hello and welcome, everyone, to a live stream celebration of Ageism Awareness Day. I'm your host, Andy Lyons, producer and host of the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast, where every week I'm chatting with folks over the age of 60 who have shattered age-related expectations and stereotypes while providing resources, inspiration, and ideas to help you stay tuned in and turned on to life as you age. It's October 9th, 2024, and this is a day devoted to spotlighting and highlighting how ageism is preventing older adults from living fulfilled lives where they feel connected, visible on purpose, and pursuing new opportunities and dreams. I'm so delighted you're tuning in to this special live stream show. And I'm excited to introduce you to my guest, the oh so amazing Raymond A. Jetson. Hey, Raymond, how are you today?
Andy, how is it possible not to be well when I'm sharing space with all of this wonderful energy?
I have to say, I really loved the fact that when you shared this event, you were all about the deliciousness. Thank you.
It's infectious.
I laughed out loud. I shared it with my husband. We both laughed. It was wonderful. So, are you ready for a delicious conversation today about how to recognize ageism and help dissolve this socially acceptable prejudice?
I woke up early this morning anxious for this moment, Andy.
Well, I am so excited. We've got in the house here, we have Dr. Beth Fisher. We have Denise Drinkwater saying, great to be here. Thanks for hosting this important conversation. The social gerontologist, whose book is right behind me right here, Living Sideways, is in the house as well. And I'll be doing some more promotion of her work. And one of my favorite people on the planet, Irene, Andy, tuning in from Portland. Hooray. And Marianne, come on. I love Marianne. She does a lot of work with midlife folks, and she's amazing, especially women. And Brent, one of my all-time favorite fans. So happy you're tuning in today. So, as you know, Raymond, and many of the folks following me, you know how I feel about aging out loud and proud. So I'm going to start by declaring that I am 68, also known as a classic 1956 model, right here, folks. Da 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 da. How old are you, Raymond?
I am 68 and just a few days shy of 9 months.
Woohoo! See, So does that make you a 1956 classic
Of
too?
course, as
All right,
I,
folks, you got two 1956 classic models right here. And folks tuning in, I'm going to say, please say hello, which you've already done, where you're hailing from, which you've already done. I love that. But also, please join us in declaring your age in the comments, because trust me, it's liberating. And as Marita Daniels said, and I did this quote from hers online, she says, my age is a blessing, not a boundary. So I've got my clappers right here to cheer you on and sharing all your ages. And if also, I want to remind you that during this whole conversation that we're having today, if you have any questions or comments, but especially questions about ageism and what's going on, please put them in the comment threads, and Raymond and I will answer them for you. So during this live stream, we're going to begin with Raymond sharing everything about Aging While Black's initiative and purpose, and then we're going to review the top 6 ageisms provided by the American Society on Ageism. And while you're all sharing in the comments, which is so exciting to see, please indulge me while I share Raymond's background, because it's truly an extraordinary life. Raymond, I'm going to put you up in the big screen, okay? Ta-da! While I read all about you. So, Raymond, everyone, served as the state representative for District 61 in the Louisiana House of Representatives for more than 15 years. That's 4 terms. And for 23 years, he served as the pastor of the Star Hill Church. He was also the deputy secretary for the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, and he served as CEO for the Louisiana Family Recovery Corps, a nonprofit focused on supporting the recovery of families impacted by disasters. And as a serial social innovator, Raymond powered the evolution of the Baton Rouge-based enterprise Metromorphosis. And I have to tell you, this man is now doing something that he was extraordinarily prepared for, all of these experiences. And that is, he's the catalyst of Aging While Black, a movement and platform designed to amplify the value and experiences of Black elders by exploring the intersection of aging and race. Oh my gosh, Raymond, we're going to learn so much from you today. Woohoo!
Well, thank you, my friend. In all sincerity, it is my pleasure to be here, and especially to be here on this day.
Yay. Well, listen, we've got a few folks who've been willing to share their age. And of course, Brent, I think I have shoes older than you. He's celebrating 32. Yay. And hi, Julia Barrows from ASA. So happy to see you here from American Society on Aging. And Dawn, welcome tuning in. 51. Yay. And Marianne, what a fabulous example of aging out loud, proudly living in her 55th year. Yes, you are. And Dr. Beth is joining us as a 1956 classic. And Jeanette Liardi, who, by the way, you can see her on the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast. She is episode 29. And Jeanette, I just got to take a quick moment right here and just put this out here. She's also the author of Aging Sideways, everyone. And so don't ever be caged by your age. Rocking it with a new book at the age of 72, talking about all these important things that we need to know about. So thank you, Jeanette, for tuning in. And Irene, honest to gosh, just the other day I was walking with Irene. She went down an embankment, a steep embankment, Raymond, to return a turtle to the water. Okay, she was really showing off. For sure. Yes. Thank you. And hi, Callie. How are you? From Atlanta and the Aging While Black team. Yay. So happy you're here. And Denise, you glow goddess. Denise is episode, hold on, I've got it right here. And I'm also going to I want to tell everybody about Denise. Denise Drinkwalter, midlife renewal coach. She's episode 27, everyone, on the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast. Oh, thank you, Callie, for letting us know. 34, almost 35. And from Long Beach, California, 59. It's not giving us your name, so be sure to share it. But thank you for sharing your age. Okay, folks, this is liberating. You can see we have all different folks from all different age groups right here. Right, Raymond?
It is the wonderful intergenerational, as we would say in South Louisiana, gumbo.
Gumbo. Oh, I like that. Do you like that too, Jeanette? A gumbo, intergenerational gumbo. Okay, so I'd like to do just a quick shout out to the American Society on Aging. Scrolling by here, today is hashtag Talk About Ageism. Visit their website, asaging.org, and you can find out everything you need to know about how they are making life wonderful. And I understand, making life wonderful for those of us aging, but Raymond, I understand that you and the team at Aging While Black have some exciting news about you and the American Society on Aging. Please chat.
Yeah, well, I would just like to begin by saying that I walked in 2022, it was, or 2021. I walked into the American Society on Aging National Conference in New Orleans to do a opening keynote address, and I didn't have a clue as to how much my life and my journey would change as a result of being connected with Peter Caldas and the wonderful Leanne Clark Shirley and the wonderful team at ASA. In this year, March of 2024, Aging While Black was a featured partner on Aging for the 70th birthday of ASA. We hosted our first Black Aging Summit. We also had the Aging While Black Learning Center. And that began a partnership with the American Society on Aging that will lead to our sharing space at On Aging 2025. We're also working with them to contribute to some of their journals and their writings, as well as working with them on the evolution of their new tech center. And so we're just excited, the Institute, Aging Institute. And so they're just wonderful partners, and we are excited to share this important work with them.
This is so wonderful. And those tuning in, you get, right, that Raymond has a core value of serving humanity. I mean, so clearly, right? So I'm curious, as always, Raymond, as to what compelled you and called you to launch the platform Aging While Black, because that's a big initiative. What is it about this purpose, this initiative that lights you up?
So first of all, it was a matter of an inquiring mind. I was experiencing in my own way the reality of aging while Black. And while I enjoy certain privileges in life that so many of my contemporaries don't, the reality is that there was a uniqueness to my own experience. It was also rooted in what I describe as a bit of survivor's guilt. My father died at 54. My great uncle, who was like a grandfather to me, died at 59. So many of the uncles and older men in my life retired at 65 and didn't live to see 70.
Yeah.
And so why am I still here, and what obligation does that bring? And so it began as really exploring this intersection of aging and race. Because as I have shared in a number of different ways, the Black experience in America has been different in every way. Why wouldn't it be when it comes to the matter of aging? Little did I know that the traction and the response and the energy across audiences would meet me and Callie and the others who are part of the Aging While Black team when we started this conversation. I've done a lot of things in 40 years of public life. And while it may have prepared me to start this work, it didn't prepare me for the amazing response that has come from people all across this country.
Wow, that is so extraordinary and exciting and remarkable that you, after the age of 65, are having this whole new renaissance period where you're bringing and creating the space, Raymond, for this wonderful organization to happen, because it takes someone, folks, like Raymond to say, okay, I want to help change this. Something's not working here. I see a problem. I need to solve it. There are people out there who may want me to solve this for them, right? And you created the space, but then the team started coming in and you started learning. When did you formally organize?
And so we launched in February of 2023. We started the conversation along the way. And as I could best describe it, realized that we were on a surfboard and that the wave was much larger than we expected it to. And so the real concreteness of it became firm after the On Aging experience in San Francisco. Because we had more than 150 people who self-identified and said, I want to be a part of this. I want to contribute here. I can make a difference there. Our team and friends at the American Society on Aging said, we see potential here. How can we expand this partnership?
Right.
And so it really became just unquestionably something that I needed to lean into fully in March of this year.
And I have to say, those of us who watch any of the ads, they're all about retirement, going sailing, having fun, doing all of these things, maybe some Medicare, in health ways to move through life, they're not addressing what the Black community is going through as they age. What did you see and hear as far as the things that the community was craving to help them age and truly enjoy this time post 65, post retirement years?
Well, first of all, the standing joke between my wife and I is that we're going to have to learn synchronized swimming because that appears to be what all old people do in America, according to some of the commercials that we see. Uh, but there is this question of diverse representation and how Black people are showing up in advertising, in television shows, and how do we push back against some of these stereotypes and caricatures of who people really are, and show the diversity of the wide range of what I love to describe as the beautiful complexity of aging Blackness in America.
And where did you begin? I mean, so you launched and you said, okay, the community's here, people want to get involved, which is so uplifting and exciting. But then now it's time to be the catalyst for change, right?
And the word catalyst is important there, because a catalyst accelerates, hopefully, or retards the rate of change in an element. And so the question becomes, how then do we, and it's not just me, my dear partner who I describe as both my right and left hand, Callie, shares with me, but Sam Ross, who is a digital strategist, and just a myriad of other people who give of their time and their talent in support of this effort. We believe that it's important to have real conversations,
Right.
to understand what is our shared aspiration. Because one of my observation in looking at innovative launches of things is so very often we're in a hurry to do something before we know who we are and before we're clear on what it is that we're really trying to do together. We assume that there is this shared meaning in our gathering, and sometimes nothing could be further from the truth. And so it always begins with a conversation. We also like to design engagements that disabuse people of the ability to give their default responses. And so we always have very interactive, engaging, disruptive approaches. And that's what we brought to Aging While Black. And what we discovered is that people across this country and across generations were concerned about caregiving. They were concerned about advanced care planning. They were concerned about economic mobility. They were concerned about social connectedness. These issues matter to people all across this country. And that they wanted to have a conversation that centered Black elders without being an exclusively Black conversation. Because this is not just a Black story, it's an American story that happens to focus in on the Black experience within it.
Oh my gosh, folks, if you got any questions, pop them in the comments and we will answer them live. Do not forget to do that because we're all learning together with our wonderful special guest, Raymond Jetson from Aging While Black. Raymond, may I pull up your 3 pillars
Yes,
slide?
please.
Can we talk about this? Because I think this is so important.
And
I
allow
think
me to take a moment just to say thank you to Irene for the very, very kind comment.
Oh, yeah, I'll pull that back up again. Yes. Wow, Raymond, you are
Thank
such an
you.
inspiration. And yes, Julia, she saw me going like this too. We're all going, yep, that's it. Absolutely. And Jeanette saying, amen. Absolutely. It's so important that intersection and understanding all of it. So let me pull up the pillars because this is on your website, and I find them extraordinarily profound, but also really important for everybody to understand how you're moving this platform forward. So talk about recalibrate the village to be prepared for the oncoming realities of Aging While Black. We need a complete overhaul of the ecosystem that engages and supports Black life. What does that mean?
It does not matter if you're talking about congregations, households of faith, whether you're talking about businesses, social organizations, affinity groups, neighborhood associations. The reality is that there is already a profound shift in the demographics that have happened. And the infrastructure that supports that life is in many instances ill-equipped but well able to address it if they are mindful. And so, we talk about it takes a village to do all of these things. Well, if we're talking about older Black people in America, that village needs to be recalibrated. We need to realize that it is, to borrow a well-worn phrase, it's not your grandfather's village. It's a very different place. I share space with an amazing group of people across this country who are part of the Reunion Project and others who represent people who are aging with HIV, a number of them who are Black, a number of them who also experienced HIV during a period when AIDS was you were a persona non grata, and when they were
Absolutely.
harmed by institutions like churches, places that I come from, and other organizations. And so it's a very different village, and one that we need to be attentive to and recognize that we need to prepare ourselves if people are going to actually thrive as they age.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Get the clappers after that one, everybody. Amazing. And I want to bring up Callie, one of the team members here at Aging While Black. She is asking the crowd tuning in now or later, has anyone here experienced an Aging While Black convening? And I hope you're able to join us at On Aging 2025. It's going to be in the spring of 2025. I can't wait to hug in real life, or as I call it, hurl, Callie, with you and Raymond. And Amy Fagan tuning in, 51 Virginia. Amy has a phenomenal podcast called Grounded in Maine. She talks all about sustainability on a grassroots. You can do it in your backyard level. She's wonderful. And one of my favorite people also. Hi, Eric Allen. How you doing? Check out Aging While Black. Get them on your podcast. Wonderful organization. Let's go. I love this. So let's pull up this slide because I want to talk about the next pillar here. Embrace rapid change. Fast-moving innovation requires us to adapt to new technologies and systems and recognize their potential for creating new opportunities. So there's the new technologies and new opportunities, folks. I'm always talking about you can do new things.
So the fundamental question that drives this pillar for us is how do we harness the amazing innovation and technology that is happening across the world, and especially in America, in service to the well-being of Black elders? The conversation about the digital divide is an important one, but it is by no means the only one that needs to happen. There are a number of ways that we can ameliorate it. As a matter of fact, cell phone ownership amongst Black elders over the age of 65 is almost equivalent with cell phone ownership amongst people who are not Black but over the age of 65. And so what are some of the platforms and things that we can do that involve cell phones while we're working on all of the other issues around internet access? And so how do we harness this technology in order to make a difference? We believe that in order for that to happen, there has to be an investment in Black founders who are driving some of the technology. We believe that all technology needs to be including Black elders in its testing and in its formation so that it is culturally attuned to the people that we expect to use it more widely. So how do we do all of that? I was we did a Black Aging Summit last week in Washington, D.C., and had some amazing young students there from Howard University. And I shared with them Howard has a center, a multidisciplinary center on gerontology. They have one of the top 10 computer programs in the country. They also have one of the top rated social work schools in HBCUs across the country. What would happen if the three of them came together and started working on technology that was relevant for aging communities, that could be integrated into social work, but that also made benevolent use of the skills and talent of these amazing young people who are doing technology? That's the kind of thinking that we have to be doing if we're going to have folks really living their best lives.
Oh my gosh, there's so much you just said in that last segment that I love. And it reminds me of the conversation I had with Jeanette, the author of Aging Sideways behind me, but the social gerontologist, talking about the importance of this intergenerational connections where you have the innovative tech founders, right? And their team doing remarkable things, but then you bring in the elders, right? The older adults who have a deep understanding of all the things that could maybe go wrong, that can be operationally taken care of to help avoid some missteps along the way. The systems and procedures that we have honed over the years, the ability to anticipate things. It's so very exciting. And having that understanding, reaching more of the tech communities, the tech hubs. I mean, Birmingham, Alabama has a phenomenal startup tech hub. Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland, Ohio. There's all these places where we could be bringing the older community, the Black community, and the tech founders who are doing some remarkable things and create some synergy, but at the same time dissolving the fears that maybe the older adult has about technology. And I'm here to tell anybody over the age of 50, you can do tech, and it's available to us in ways. And there's a wonderful platform. Go check it out. It's called Carevocacy, Carevocacy. It's tech tutors for seniors. So it's wonderful. And I'm just going to say a quick hello to Colette Desmond Finley. How are you, Colette? I'm so happy you're here. Colette is thriving in her 60s and really a remarkable woman. I love what she's doing. Hey, Marianne, learn to be comfortable being a novice. Oh boy, that's really good to know. And remember, move with curiosity, not self-judgment, and use intergenerational relationships to explore new tech. And those are such affirming words, curiosity and explore, right, Raymond?
They are absolutely wonderful words. I love the notion of moving without this self-judgment, but being rooted in curiosity. I think that it is rich. I will share with you that my observation is that there are lots of people doing wonderful jobs of sharing with people about technology, but the missing ingredient, the ingredients are making certain that people have a certain level of confidence in their own ability to navigate these, as well as making certain that there is a utility, that there's a usefulness that they can attach to our lives as it relates to the use of technology. There's an amazing gentleman, Brandon Peterkin, in Aurora, Colorado, who's been working on an app called Finish that was rooted in his experience with his parents and grandparents, who would keep saying to him when he was trying to do things with them, "This is too hard. There are too many steps. I don't want to do all of that." And so he started working on this app, starting with talking with his grandparents and his parents and their friends and their networks. And he had all of these conversations with older adults and began to design the first iteration of his platform based upon that. But then he started talking to their family members who said, "It's great that my parents or my family member has access to all of this, but I'd really like to make certain that they are safe, and there are some things that I'd like to know." And so he made parallel platforms that allow the older adult to have a sense of agency, but also in appropriate ways for the family members to be aware of what is being engaged, what's being purchased or agreed to, utilizing these platforms. And that's the kind of thinking that's rooted in people's real experiences that will
Mm-hmm.
be necessary if we're going to harness this technology to allow people to
Right.
live
And
really rich
dissolve
lives.
and all and train. Once you start doing technology, your curiosity and capability and your agency heightens, right? You
Yes.
get better, and then you want to pull in another thread and you get better. I mean, I've watched that with our dear friend Nancy Gray, who I thought, oh my God, she's never even going to use a cell phone. And then the next one I knew, she was texting. And then the next one I knew, she got a smartphone. And then she was online and she was seeing all her shows and watching videos and doing all the things in her late 70s. And we were all, oh my gosh, it's happening. I think that's so important. And I want to bring up Jeanette's comment,
Yes.
Jeanette Liardi. Yes, Andy, older brains and younger brains need to be together on workplace teams for the greatest productivity. What are your thoughts about that, Raymond?
We at Aging While Black, we describe it as reciprocal wisdom sharing. It doesn't, wisdom is not unidimensional. It goes in both ways. And so, how do we create these constructs where the wisdom of the elders is made available, but also the beautiful wisdom and curiosity of the young is welcomed, so that there is this connection that allows us to move forth in our strongest self. Because the reality is the challenges that we face in the world could care less how old we are. They are impacting us all, and we need to bring ourselves together in order to be our most productive selves, but also our most resilient selves.
Oh my gosh, that is such a good point, everybody. I just love that. The challenges do not care how old you are. Hurricanes, you name it, they don't care. And this person here says, hi, LinkedIn user says, my mother used email PC use in her 70s and kept using over age 90. Oh my gosh. I had a guest on the show who, when she said she was a gamer, I said, what, bingo? Bridge? And she said, no, Andy, I've been shooting zombies since the 70s when we had to use punch cards and mainframes. Oh, we all have our biases, right? And yes, Jeanette loves that phrase, the reciprocal wisdom, as does Denise Drinkwalter. Oh, reciprocal wisdom sharing, so empowering for all. Love that. Thank you for that
Thank
great
you.
comment, Denise. And it's a perfect segue into pillar 3. Here we glow.
And so the statement there is important. The wisdom of the elders is invaluable and must be systematically embraced to build stronger communities. The operative phrase there is systematically.
Right.
And
And
so
lean into
how,
Sankofa because we need to talk
yes,
about that bird too.
and lean into Sankofa. As I have a Sankofa bird there, I have Sankofa birds everywhere. As a matter of fact, as those who know me best will know, that the only tattoo I got in my life, I got at the age of 66, and it was of the Sankofa bird. And the Sankofa is this West African concept of making benevolent use of the past. It is looking back to make the most of what might be left behind. And so, how do we make this wisdom available? In very intentional ways. And so, for example, in the organization that you mentioned earlier, the Social Enterprise Metamorphosis, I practice intergenerational leadership with an amazing millennial, Sharita Harrison, for about 3 years. And then in August of last year, I moved from the chief executive catalyst role. Sharita moved into it. We created a new role for me called Wisdom and Longevity Catalyst, as a very intentional way to demonstrate how you can maintain institutional knowledge and the wisdom of older workers while at the same time creating pathways for the emerging young brilliance that is a part of so many of our teams and organizations. I actually penned an article that was in the Chronicle of Philanthropy on moving over but not out. And so, how do we create these pathways in space? How do we, in our institutions, organizations, and communities and families, in very intentional ways, value this wisdom of the elders without devaluing the brilliance of other generations at the same time?
Okay, everybody. How much do you love moving over and not out? Wisdom and longevity. What catalyst, what else did you get from this remarkable brain of Raymond and your team? You know, I know you are thought leaders, that you're pulling this together. You're creating these avenues and paradigms within which Black elders can succeed and thrive while still having meaningful relationships with all the generations, right?
Yes, yes, it's an absolute necessity. I grew up next door to my great grandparents, and you know the old adage is every day I get older, the wiser they become. Uh, but it was just a joy to see them walk in just their full-throated elderhood, and how they were valued in the community, how they were respected in our family, but also in the same way how they valued others and how they made others feel important.
So there's that reciprocal wisdom in action.
Yes, it is. And I believe one of the most important things that we can do is free the word elder from the prison of the word elderly.
Okay,
That there,
everybody, stitch
there,
that
there,
on a pillow.
there is a value um, in embracing this notion of
Right.
the elders.
Absolutely. And we want to reclaim a lot of terms
Yes.
that have the, I want to say, the stature, the respect, all the things, because what we see is such disrespect for aging that goes on. And what I learned from the story you told about your grandparents was that I was trying to think, why is it that they felt seen and heard and visible and connected? And it's because they set the tone for reciprocity by
Yes.
being curious and interested in what you and anyone from all the walks of life were up to. I have a great, oh, go ahead.
So, Andy, I wanted to share, part of this, who is it? Marty Linsky and Ron Heifetz wrote a book called The Practice of Adaptive Leadership. And they talk about adaptive and in terms of evolution. And they share that there are three critical elements. One is determining what has been that needs to be discarded.
Yeah.
What has been that needs to be held on to, and then what needs to be added in order to thrive in this new environment. And I think we live in a culture that is too quick to discard everything that has been in search of the new shiny bobbly thing. And it is, in fact, acknowledging that there are some things that do need to be discarded. They aren't functional in 2024 and beyond, but there are some elements of life that are timeless. And what are those that serve us well? But then likewise, what are those adaptations? What are those new things that need to be embraced in order to thrive in this new environment?
And I love that you brought that up, because the disposable society that's been happening since the 50s, right? It's been really hard for folks. Jeanette, this is a great question. She's
It
asking,
is.
Raymond, does storytelling factor into your work? If so, how? I find that storytelling is a human vehicle for meaning making and can be effective in abolishing ageism. Thank you, Jeanette, for that great question.
Absolutely wonderful question. Yes. if it is not apparent at this point, I am a storyteller. I root so many of the things that I share in stories, but it is also a part of the culture at Aging While Black. And so we definitely shape around stories. One of the things that we talk about as the leading edge of our work is amplifying the voices of Black elders. And so making certain that their stories and their realities are told. Spoiler alert, uh, we will be sharing in the near future just some amazing stories from real lives of aging Black people across this country who are in their own ways and in their own circumstances and conditions thriving. Because it's one thing to use that word over and over again, as I do with intentionality. Um, but what does it look like in the lives of real people all across this country? And so, yes, it's all about the story.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And what aspirations do you have? Like, where do you see Aging While Black evolving over the next few years?
So we are creating what we describe as a multi-hub national network. We believe that this work is decentralized,
Yeah.
that we need to create space for people to be a part of us without being only us. And so, how can we create opportunities for people across this country in disparate areas that impact the well being of people and aging to be a part of the Aging While Black network? The one thing that we do ask is that those three pillars be embraced in some way in the work that we're doing. And so we see this work emerging across this country. We have been doing work with a wonderful project in Los Angeles, the Sankofa Elders Project. As I shared last week, we were in Washington, D.C., Detroit, Chicago. I mean, Denver, we've been working in for the last 9 months. I'm waiting on my invitation to come to Boston.
We're going to get you here.
Yeah, and so we are inviting people to connect with us and to help build with us. I say this with all sincerity. It is my sincere hope that I am a catalyst to something that is meaningful. But Aging While Black is not about Raymond Jetson. And Aging While Black is not about the Aging While Black brand or an organization. It is about how do we create a movement that centers the well-being of Black elders and allows people to co-create innovations and pathways to a better future.
Whew. I tell you, this is the Aging Church show today and how to dissolve ageism. That's so powerful what you're putting out there. And I am here for all of it. Dr. Beth Fisher. So, can I just do a quick shout out for Dr. Beth Fisher here? Because, Raymond, you'll love her work in the world. She has a podcast all about unhoused. She's really working on tackling the systemic change and improved housing equity. And that's a big, hairy, audacious idea and goal. So, Dr. Beth, her podcast is called Unhoused USA. Everybody go and find her and also connect with her here on LinkedIn. But she's got a great question that says, what gives you hope for the future regarding ageism? Are there trends or movements that you find encouraging? Great question.
First of all, thank you for the question. I want to double tap on the important work that you are doing, because we talk about this notion of intersectionality, to be aging and unhoused, to be aging Black and unhoused, to be aging Black unhoused with a mental illness and or a physical disability. these are very real issues. And Dr. Beth, what your work illustrates is an important point, and it is that it does not matter what aspect or what domain of difference making you are doing in the world, aging will impact it, whether we are prepared for it or not. Now, specifically to your question, what gives me hope is that there is an intensity of the conversation around ageism, and some of the important work around reframing ageism, changing the narrative, the project that Janine and others have been a part of is just really inspiring for me. It gives me hope because there is an intentionality around challenging the stereotypes and the status quo, but also giving people concrete alternatives to approach these important realities that are associated with life. I love the fact that the American Society on Aging has taken such a prominent role in causing or inviting people to talk about this important subject, creating ways for people to connect. And so I'm hopeful because we are here today talking about ageism, and it all begins with a conversation.
With a conversation. Thank you, Dr. Beth. And I second Raymond's comment. Thank you for your wonderful work in the world. Hey, Naomi, how you doing? Naomi is asking, what role do you envision for allies? Because
And
boy,
so,
it's such a good
yeah,
question.
it is. And I would refer back to a comment that I made earlier. At Aging While Black, we want to have a conversation that centers the well being of Black elders without being an exclusively Black conversation. There are some realities that are experienced, whether it is economic disparities, whether it is health inequities, whether it is a number of other issues that are different for Black elders, that are not rooted in folks' decision to say, oh, well, I think I'll show up at old age and be ill prepared. They are rooted in systems, structures, and practices that have been baked into the DNA of this country for centuries. And so, as long as there is an willingness to acknowledge that there are systemic and structural factors that contribute to what we're seeing, everybody is welcome. But what at this stage I refuse to do is argue with folks about the realities of history and the experiences of people. I will argue with you about a lot of things. What I won't argue about is my experience.
That's right. And I think, Naomi, to your point about being a good ally, is taking work like Aging While Black and other programs, books, etc., and promoting those and finding ways that you can go and serve without it being an extra burden for that community, right? So
And
I'm always,
also,
go ahead.
and also help us to understand how we can be good partners.
Right.
If there is some aspect of what we are doing that makes it difficult for you to connect, then let us know. And if it is on our end, we want to do all that we can to adapt. But if at the end of the day it's on somebody else's end, then there's nothing we can do about that.
I know. Boy, we're always talking about this LinkedIn user whose name I don't know, but many retirement age folks need to still be working, yet ageism, racism is a major barrier at work. We know a lot about this, and it is because of institutions just thinking that we become permafrost in our 50s and not understanding two things. One, economically, yeah, we may need to keep working for sure, but many folks want to keep working. They just don't want to be at the incredible hustle grind culture level of 40 to 60 hours a week, and they don't need to be. Older adults have such wisdom that they can easily do the job in 25 to 30 hours a week, but getting the institutions to get on board with this is really hard. And I can only imagine, how discouraging. Oh, hi, Michelle Simon. She's an employment lawyer. Oh, okay. I'm just going to pop this up here for everybody. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, it's really hard. And, recently AARP Foundation and a major law firm brought a lawsuit to my local company here, Raytheon, for age discrimination. And I just think sometimes policies have to go to court in order to be changed. And so I was happy to hear that, because they just, as Raymond had said earlier, they want to hire the youngins and not keep the older adults, and not acknowledging, not respecting how much wisdom and time saving and productivity, as Jeanette had said, having those younger brains and older brains working together creates greater productivity. Take it away, Raymond. What are your thoughts about?
To add to that, I mentioned that last week we did the Black Aging Summit on Economic Mobility. We focused on 3 areas: housing, financial services, and work and wages. And we took these groups through these exercises where they had to identify, each of them, a key intervention to make a difference in that domain as it related to aging. Interestingly enough, for the work and wages group, the intervention that they identified as being the most important is making the business case for the older worker. That we must move the conversation beyond the value of wisdom in the workplace and other things that may seem to romanticize having older workers around. And we have to develop the hard and fast business case as to why it makes sense for businesses to do this. Now, while we're doing this, of course, people who discriminate based upon age or race or both of them should be sued early and often. But we also have an obligation on this side of the aisle. And so we at Aging While Black are seeking to advance that conversation with that particular work group and inviting others into that space to design exactly what does that business case look like.
Absolutely. And Michelle, check out Jeanette's book, Aging Sideways. She has a lot of data in there about the profitability and productivity of keeping employees over the age of 60, 65, 70 on board. It really, really helps. And not only just saving money, it increases revenue. And I think that's so important, Raymond, to always be going to the bottom line, because most of our institutions have a board of directors and they've been trained to not think about social impact. They've been trained to think bottom line and return on investment. And that's the reality. And being profitable and growing and scaling, and often don't understand the talent acquisition and retention part of their business model. Love that question, Michelle. Please stay in touch with us and connect with us here on LinkedIn so we can follow everything that you're doing as an employment law attorney. Oh my gosh, Raymond, we've been hitting some really good things. I'm going to just quickly talk a little bit about what the ASA, the American Society on Aging, is talking about today around ageism. And that is, ageism refers to stereotypes, that's how we think, prejudice, how we feel, and discrimination, which is how we act toward others or oneself based on age. And I listed the primary ones earlier. We have the implicit ageism, which is the unconscious bias that includes attitudes, feelings, and behaviors toward people of other age groups that operates without conscious awareness or intention. I mean, boomers, how often have you said those darn Gen Zs or millennials, they don't know how to work hard?
I say they know how to have a life because we were all trained to work ridiculously hard and unnecessarily hard in the grind culture. But that's an important ageism. And then there's the interpersonal ageism, and that's ageist comments and behavior that happen between people when they interact. This can be implicit and unconscious or conscious. This may be negative, but can also come from positive intent, but still be based on stereotypes. Folks, we see this in the cards, the over the hill, all the comments. And so we know that, and we can tease each other about this as well. I'm just going to bring up a few comments from the crowd. Jeanette saying, thanks so much for the shout outs, Andy. Absolutely. And Marianne's comment is wonderful, which is it will require widely disproving the assumed cost savings, which is often the driver for releasing older workers who make more money.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. And I also want to then bring up Bella's comment here. A lot of hiring managers are in their 20s and 30s, recruiters too. Oh my gosh, you're right, Bella. Makes things very difficult. They do not know how to read a resume to appreciate the experience. Right? So Bella, I had Sandra Allison on the show. She's the one who was shooting zombies in the 70s when they used, she's a gamer, when they used punch cards on mainframes. And that's what she does for leisure every day. She's 72, but she created a resume business because she got tired of those scanning systems that knock you out because it clearly your age is on the resume. She gamified it. She figured out how to beat that. So check out SA Resume Services, because it's just remarkable. But those are some of the things that we have to do. Let me continue to bring up a few more. What do we have here? Interpersonal ageism. That's what we just said. Okay. And now cultural ageism, the everyday invisible, profoundly ingrained and normalized. I'm going to emphasize normalized. Negative messages about aging and old people embedded in movies, TV, songs, jokes, etc. Yeah, really not fond of that. Institutional ageism, unfair age-based restrictions in laws. We were just talking about that, policies and practices, and benevolent ageism. And folks who listen to the podcast know that this drives me nutties, and you have to kind of hold me back when it happens. But it's patronizing, paternalistic beliefs or behaviors that older people need to be protected because they are no longer able to make decisions for themselves. You've seen that. Oh, honey, can I get that for you? Or they start talking in sing-song language and you're looking around you for the 3-year-old they're talking to. What, you talking to me? And on episode 29 with Jeanette, she has some great scripts that you can come back with because I want to have someone hold my beer and go into the ring and start fighting. I don't like benevolent at all. But one thing that the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast focuses on every single show, and is the purpose behind Don't Be Caged by Your Age, is the internalized ageism. My gosh, we've got it coming at us from all angles, right? And so what happens is we get indoctrinated, right, Raymond, to start telling these stories ourselves. I'm too old. I can't do that. That's too difficult. I can't move this way. I can't take on something new. I'm fill in the blank. These are the things that keep us and prevent us from moving forward and seeking new opportunities. Oh my gosh, it's our chime telling us it's been 1 hour of this delicious conversation. So I want to remind everybody, tune into the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast, because we're always reframing. We are shattering those age-related expectations and stereotypes and providing you opportunities and insights and ideas. And what? I can rewire instead of retire. I can do this because I'm always talking to people who have done that, who talk about the journey to why they went back to school at the late 60s, early 70s, or wrote a book or things like that. So I'm so happy that we talk about all these different ageisms here. Thank you, Raymond. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with the crowd? And you're welcome, Beth. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you. And Bella says thank you for that as well. And Michelle, thank you. What final thoughts would you like to share with everybody before we wrap up this conversation?
I could not have imagined a better place to to spend this part of the day. Wonderful spending time with you. Amazing questions from those who are sharing with us, in just a really great space. This is an important issue. It is one of the realities of our generation, of our time. And I believe that it is something that we can defeat.
That's right. We can dissolve, we can shatter, we can stop that nonsense. And I invite everybody to hop on over to my Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or YouTube Shorts and see how I'm celebrating Ageism Awareness Day. I am dancing, and I am in my leather and my green shoes. So go check that out. And Raymond, I just want to thank you so much for joining me for this delicious conversation today. Such pure joy to share Ageism Awareness Day with you, and of course, our phenomenal audience here. Yay, Don's clapping, Nia's clapping. Thank you both so much, she's saying. And of course, Jeanette said, great conversation. Thank you all so much for being here. Oh, Irene, I love you something fierce. Mwah. And Denise, who's helping women reimagine what they could be doing during this time period, because Raymond, women are constantly looking outside themselves and taking care of everybody. And Denise does such a great job helping them decide, what are you going to do for you next? And Denise says, this has been a wonderful learning opportunity today, and it's been wonderful to meet you virtually, Raymond, and always great to see you, Andy. Always great to see you, Denise. And folks watching this later, I just want to remind you, as well as those tuned in live right now, please remember, just because the clock struck midnight on a milestone age does not mean we're done, right? We are not done with you. We need you. You have so much to give. Don't let those internalized ageist beliefs prevent you from pursuing new dreams and opportunities. Grab that torch and keep it brightly lit for your future generations. Until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Cheers from Boston. And thank you, Raymond.
Thank you, my friend.